Hey, what's up YouTube? Today we're going to be continuing part 3 of this tutorial, or this series of tutorials. So what we're going to be doing today essentially is finishing the authentication, making sure that we have those auth guards, so whenever people are trying to navigate through the web application, if they're not logged in, they're not authorized to do certain processes. For example, they cannot create a new game, they cannot update or delete. And essentially that's what we're going to be doing today. So let's go ahead and jump into the tutorial. So I actually want to show you guys what we're going to be doing. What is the purpose of this video series, video tutorial from this video series? Because you know, we have so much time and I want you guys to see what will the end result will be. So as you can see, I actually changed the cards here, where I think it's a little bit nicer. If you hover onto the card, you can see that like box effect, and you can click on the card. So once you click on the card, you can see the details, where you have the field, you have the time where the game is going to happen, and you see the number of players. This should be date, so rather than 9 p.m. it should, I'll change this right now, but we'll get there. Also, so as I don't know if you saw, but let's say that I want to edit, it reroutes me to the sign menu, so I cannot edit the game if I'm not signed in. So let's go ahead and sign in. And maybe I have the wrong password. I should definitely work on feedback. Maybe did I delete? Or am I connected? Let me see from the, yeah, okay, so I am connected. Interesting. Oh, I think I know why. npm run dev. Yeah, so I need to do the build. So everything is actually updated in the npm run dev, but since I was using npm start, I need to compile, and it is why probably it was not working properly. So let me try that again. There you go. So it was that. But this is what I was trying to show you guys. So we're gonna have that login functionality, and I don't know if you saw it here, but now you have the create game. You also have log out. You have the same option here, log out, create game. So I can create a game now. I also changed the styling here. I think it looks better. If I try to edit, now I can edit. I can also delete. So for example, let's say testing 3. So I'm gonna delete testing 3, and as you can see, it's gone. And if I refresh, it stays gone. Probably it would be useful to have like a badge that says successfully deleted. But you know, that's something that we can do very quick. But this is essentially the goal, the end goal that we will reach by the end of this video. So that's what we're going to be doing in addition to what we previously had. So again, this is a preview. I just wanted you guys to see what we were going to aim for, right? With probably I need to work on this too. This is also something very quick. It's very easy with Material UI. But anyway, so I'm gonna base my code on this because this is what I've been using to, you know, work with. And let's go ahead and open the one that we're actually going to be writing with. So I'm actually going to quit the preview one and go into our project. So this is the Mern Soccer. We're going to go into the front end. I'm going to do npm start. And then here, remember that I have to do in the back end npm run dev, not npm start on the back end, npm run dev. And also, let me open a VS Code instance. So I'll just open another tab in the same path. I'll back out and just do code space dot. Okay, cool. So there you go. That's our repo. Create form to create. I think we already did this. We're in the auth methods. Okay. I believe I'm not sure if I have the auth routes, and if I don't, then I'll create them too. But essentially, we want to get to the functionality that I just showed you guys. And let me check. I believe I want to make this larger so you guys can see. All right. Hopefully that's better. Now let's go ahead and continue to do all. Yeah. So I'm missing the user schema, the routes, and the controller. So let's go ahead and do all those things. So first things first, I think the user schema is the easiest one to do. Or I mean or it's not the easiest thing to do, but it's a thing that we should probably get done first. So I'm going to create a new file within my models folder called user.ts. Again, it's uppercase because it's a convention. Whenever it's a schema or a class, it tends to be uppercased. So now what I'm going to do is the following. I'm going to create an interface. So export interface user, very similar to what we had in the game model, right? So here's my game game model file, and remember that we created the interface. So I'm going to do exactly the same interface, and the user interface is going to be very simple. We're going to have a username of type string. We're going to have an email of type string, password of type string, role. The role is going to be whether this guy or this user is an admin, just a member. I believe I just have user rather than member. Okay, so we'll do that. And then I like to have the created at, which will be of type date, and the updated at. It's just miscellaneous, but it can become useful whenever you try to see the you know, if you want to date since when did a certain user joined your web application, your software as a service, whatever. So I'm gonna call this user schema, and I'm going to be using the schema keyword from Mongoose. So I'm going to do import schema from Mongoose. So now that we have that, I can go ahead and declare my schema upon these interface. And I'm going to put the type of schema here. Now, I believe it won't complain too much, so it's not that not defensive, but it doesn't check all the typings as we go. But whenever you export, remember that we export the schema like so. Then user schema. Okay, there you go. And I also need to add model. Nope. I'm gonna add model here next to schema. There you go. So it should be complaining, but it's not. So that's what I'm saying. Which is a little bit annoying. I know there's a way to actually make the code or the ESLint complain if you don't comply with the interface. But for now, we'll leave it like that. Because otherwise I could spend here an extra half an hour trying to get the proper configuration. And we just want to get the authentication done. So very important, the email not only is required, but it's also unique. That way you cannot have the same user with the same email, obviously. Password is of type string. It is also very much required. And I mean, it could happen that same people put the same, simple password, but it's very unlikely. Hence, we don't really require a password to be unique. The role we want the user to default to user, so they won't have admin privileges. But we want to make this an enum, and by enum meaning they only have two options. Either the user is an admin or the user is a normal user. So that is what the enum does. It limits the options by which the user can have a role. Or, sorry, better phrased. It limits the user to which roles he can belong or have, right? So it can either have user or admin. but hopefully you got the point. So now the date will be required for created ad, same for updated ad. I'm just gonna copy paste this because it's exactly the same. And there you go, we have the user schema. Now the next thing that we want to do is I guess we can do the routing, even though we could really leave it, I guess, yeah, I'll leave it to the end. So let's go ahead and create a new file called auth controller. So we're gonna create the auth controller where we're gonna have our login and sign up. And we'll also create a get current user, because with that endpoint we'll provide a JWT token, and you'll see how. And with that JWT we can get a current user, and I'll explain why that is important in a bit. So let's start with the sign up. So export const sign up equals async, and we have request, response, and we're going to destructure the email and password from the request.body. That way we can make our lives easier. Email check. Okay. Probably need to import the types, the request type and the response type. All right. So just make sure that you have this from Express. Otherwise, Node is going to complain here if you don't import the typings. So I'm going to create this variable email check, and as the variable sounds, we're going to check whether there's a user with that email. So we're going to do user.find, and again, I got this auto import from the models because we're going to be using the Mongoose ORM to make our queries. So we're going to say user.find one, and we want to find a user by the email, which we can probably also destructure here and just pass that. But in the case that you are not very familiar with destructuring, it's essentially doing the same as this. This right here is a shorthand of that. So I'll just leave it like that for simplicity, but know that you can destructure if you're comfortable. Now that we have that, we want to make sure that the email exists. So, or sorry, we want to make sure that we get the response that we expect. So for example, if we're signing up, it means that we're trying to create a new user, which means we don't expect the email to be on the database. So if the email is there, it means that there's already a user with that email. Therefore, we shouldn't allow whoever is trying to sign up with that email and return an error. So if the email exists, then we return an error of 403, meaning it's forbidden or they're not authorized. So error, couldn't create user. And we don't want to give too much information, but you know, if they cannot create the user, it's probably because there's already a user with that email. What else? Once we pass that check, we actually want to start creating our user. So we're going to do that upon the new user method. So this will instantiate an object from our schema that we declared in the other file just a few minutes ago. And what we're going to try to do is the following. We're going to try to encrypt our password because we don't want to store the password as it is, and that is part of you know, security. So we're gonna add something called, we're gonna create this variable called salt, and I'll explain right now what the salt is. But let me set up this and I'll explain. Gen salt sync. Okay, so not only this is misspelled, but I'm missing the imports. So for this, we're gonna be using the following. We're going to be installing bcrypt and also JSON web token, and I believe that's it. So let's install those two things. Okay. So now that we have those two libraries, then I'm gonna go ahead and explain what change balance to crypto. No, we're not using crypto, we're using bcrypt. I guess I'm gonna have to spell it myself. Bcrypt from bcrypt. Do I have to? Yeah, okay. So just make sure that you install the types. So this is the same as doing npm I at types bcrypt, right? So if you hover or command dot or control dot where it says install at types bcrypt is the same as doing this right here. All right, so those things are done, and you see how the lint stopped showing me that error. So okay, I'm going to briefly explain how is it that we will encrypt our password. So essentially what we do whenever we have a password, let's say that I have password, actually I'm going to use this just for simplicity. So what we do with hashing is that we can like change the P to 4 different characters, and then the A for numbers and characters, and then the S, you know, and so on and so forth, till we have something that it really does not resemble the password whatsoever. So this could be our password. Now, there is actually a way to crack that if you just do it once. So if you only encrypt it once, there's actually computers that can break they can decipher a pattern and break the code or you know, reverse engineer the pattern and get your password, which is why people add extra encryption. And often this is called salt. So salt is like adding that extra seasoning or that extra spice to make the encryption even harder. So that is what salt does. So salt will generate like it'll be like an extra token, not token, but like that extra difficulty to encrypt. Which, by the way, by default, you do 10 passes of encryption, so it should be more than safe whenever we encrypt it with a bcrypt methods that bcrypt comes with. So essentially, we're going to be passing this extra, I guess, randomness, like a kind of like the secret key for J2T token, which is generated by this. And then we're going to be doing the 10-step encryption or 10 passes encryption. So that is more or less how it works in a nutshell. So now with that explanation, let's go ahead and encrypt the password. So I'm going to do bcrypt dot hash sync, where I'm going to pass the normal password, and I'm going to add that token, which is just extra randomness added. And this hash sync is going to encrypt the password with the random token 10 times. And that's how our password is going to be protected and encrypted. Now the created at is very simple. This will just be a new date, and the user dot updated at, same thing, new date. Again, this is just miscellaneous, which can work for management later on. So now we're going to be saving our user with all those things in place, and then we can return a 201 of successful creation of the user, and we can say it was a successful sign up. Otherwise, if we cannot create the user, we can throw a server error, which is of type 500, server error, please try again. You know, and this indicates that something wrong happens. So that's our sign up. Now login is also pretty simple in my personal point of view. But it's actually, you do a little bit less than with the sign up. So let's go ahead and do the login. So this is going to be async. Let's put our request and response parameters. And we're going to be doing the following. With the login, we want to check that a user exists. And then once we know the user exists, make sure that the passwords match. So once we give, so we're gonna give a plain password as password 123, and whatever we have, you know, with the encryption, I'm almost certain that it decrypts whatever we have stored and checks if that matches the 123. Could be the other way around, I'm not 100% sure, I always get that mixed up. But essentially, there's a way to make sure that these two match at some point in time, whether it encrypts both or it decrypts both. In my guess, it would be the initial one where it decrypts the encrypted password, and that way it can check that the two of the passwords, meaning the stored one and the one that the user provides, match. So once that is done, then we can return a JWT. So that's more or less how the signup works. So let's go ahead and code the login user method. So I'm actually going to leave the comments so we can use them as guidelines. So the first thing that we're going to do is destructure the email and password that we are going to get from the request.body. After that, rather than check email, we're going to check if there is a user in the database, because if we cannot find a user, we might as well just exit that whole process and be done with it. So here, by the way, I'm destructuring, just as you know I was explaining before, but here I will leave it destructured so you know that you can use both. So if there is no user, I'm going to return a status of 401 with the JSON error message. Check credentials. So we don't want to tell whoever is trying to sign in that there is no user in the database, because we don't want to give enough information. This could be a hacker trying to gain access, and it is why we don't explicitly say what is the problem. So that's why we're only going to say like, oh, your credentials are not right. It could be either the password or the user, typical vague message to let know the user that whatever he's trying to do is not working. Now if we get past that, then now we have to check that the passwords match. So this this is something that we're going to be using from bcrypt. So we're going to compare, and sync stands for synchronous. So password, the one that we have from the request.body, that's the password, and the user.password is the one that we would get from here. So this method is the one that is in charge of, my guess is it, actually let me see if I can declare friendship compare sync. Actually we should be able to see here, let's see. Data to be compared, the data to be encrypted and the data to be compared against. A promise to either resolve. Okay, so apparently given by this, so if the data is to be encrypted, so we actually encrypt this one right here and we compare it against the already encrypted password. So I'm guessing that this gets to the same encryption. So const my plain text, some other plain text password, low dash run password to be, comparing my plain text hash, result true, result okay. So, here's the explanation from the libraries in case you guys are curious. So yeah, it does encrypt this. So if this is true, meaning the passwords do match. And we're going to do in an if guard statement, meaning if they don't match, then we return an error. So if they don't match, we return a status of 403, which is unauthorized. .json error check credentials. Again, unauthorized means that either the user is not authorized or something is going on. We don't want to say explicitly that the password is not right away. I mean, again, because there may be some hacker trying to like get some extra information when it comes to cracking passwords. So that's why we are very vague when it comes to information. Now, if all goes well, if we get to this point, then we return a JWT. So in order to make this happen, we need to create a middleware method that we are going to be calling that method generate JWT. So we're going to create a new folder and we're going to call this middlewares. And we can call this JWT methods. It really doesn't matter. It's something generic, but something that we can, easily find whenever I do command P, JWT, and we see the method. So we know that all that file, everything that file contains are JWT related methods. So export const, and again, I'm gonna call this, as I said, I'm gonna call this generate JWT, and this will have this function will take as a parameter the ID, specifically MongoDB ID, so object ID. This types.object ID will come from Mongoose. So import types from Mongoose, and I think I could even double the structure into object ID, I believe. Okay, never mind. I'll leave it like that. And the second parameter that we will be passing onto the function is going to be an email. So this will be a promise where obviously as a promise template, or not template, but the structure, you have a resolve or a reject clause, or not clause, clause is not the word, but you have these two parameters that represent whether a promise was successfully returned or it rejected. It was not successful when it came to returning the promise. That's what resolve and reject does. So with that, by the way, we also have to import the JWT library from JSON Web Token. I'm just gonna call it JWT because it's shorter. Also going to install the types, so just make sure you do npmi types at JSON Web Token. I have the VS Code how to say suggestion, but in case that you guys don't get the suggestion, that's how you get to do that. So I'm gonna be passing the ID that I get from my parameter, and again, this is the same thing as doing this, but I'm just gonna pass it like that, and same with the email. So once I have that, I am also going to, and this will be actually, let me put that like so it's a little bit easier to read. Once I have that in place, I also want to pass a secret key. This is kind of like the salt. We are adding some randomness into the JSON Web Token creation. So secret underscore key, and this will be here, and this can be random. This can be 32 characters random. So I'm gonna go ahead and type just about 32 random characters. Could be more, could be less. It really doesn't matter, but at least this being 32 makes it secure. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it like that. But you can put whatever you want. The expiration, I'm gonna put that it expires in 4 hours. So every 4 hours you will have to re-log in, or get a new token, refresh the token every 4 hours. Which we can create that refresh method later on. But first I want to focus on having this functionality in the backend and in the front end. So if there's an error, reject. Otherwise, if there's no error, just resolve and return the token. And that's it. That is our generate token method, which we will use here. So generate j.t, where we have to pass the ID, remember, and the email. The ID has to be coming from the user.id, so user.id, and we have to return, I believe I have a try catch. Let me look at my notes. I guess I don't have to do a try catch in this case, but definitely we want to return the 200 status code that everything went well, and we want to return the token like so. Again, this is the same as this, but shorthand, you can write it like so. So that is the login method. The last thing that I want to do is create the current user method. This method will make sure, number one, that you can get a user, but number two, that if you pass a JSON Web Token, it means that the user is valid, and you can, think of this as the user is still logged in, or they have a valid JSON Web Token, therefore they can continue with their session. So that's what the get current user method does. So with that, I'm going to create the get current user method, and let's capitalize this to keep the camel case standard. Request from Express, response, and I believe these are imported, so we don't, yeah. Okay, so now the token, so we're going to have to pass a token through the headers from the front end or Postman or whatever, in order to in order to make sure that our API is able to read the token. Now the name of the headers is going to be called authorization, very standard, and from there we'll first check if the token is there. If the token is not there, obviously we throw an error, and if the token is there, then we'll continue to use some of the JWT methods and functionalities in order to make sure that the token is valid. And after that, then we can return the user. So if there is no token, return rest.status 404 mini not found, and then the message is authentication token was not found. Otherwise, we can go ahead and keep going with our logic. So we are going to declare this variable token info. This will be of type any because is an actually token info JT process secret key. I guess this should return a boolean, but I remember that I was struggling with this, which is why I left it as any. But if this is verified, it should return a true or false. Well, if it's valid, it should return a true statement. If it's false, it should return a if it's not verified, it should return a false statement. So I'm missing the JWT import, so I'm actually going to put it below the bcrypt import. So import JWT from JSON Web Token. Okay, now I can use the verify if I don't have any typos. Verify, and then we need to use the same secret key. So secret key. If let's say that you log in and you go into the EMV, you log in, you get your J2T, whatever on the front end, then you go ahead and change this, and then you use the get current user method, you're probably going to get an error if there's a mismatch between the secret keys. So just want to make an observation of that. It's very rare that people change this, so I don't think you'll encounter that error, but it's good to mention. So see how this gives me an error if I put boolean. Let me see what return type verify. So here, and I have 3 methods here. I have one that returns a J2T object, J2T payload, or the 3 of them, like or a string, obviously. So that's why I guess I can put here JWT or JWT payload or string, and then I would have to import update. Yeah, I would have to like bring all those here. So these are interfaces from JSON Web Token. So I guess that's the correct thing. Just how can I put this? Just know that we're going to get information from the JSON Web Token, and upon that we will return the user. So, and that's probably going to be in the form of a JWT. So with that said, we are going to get a user, just as I was explaining a few seconds ago, from the token info.email, right? Because we are putting that information in our token info, and you see how this is giving us an error. So I may want to put any, which is annoying. And I'm putting any because email is not within the J2T or J2T payload. We can create our own interface, but it's more annoying. You can create in the J2T. You have like, let me show you guys. So you just don't like take this at face. Well, take what I say by heart. So J2T.io. So this is information, right? So this is our payload, and we have sub, name, and EAT stands for issued at. But I can also add an email here, test.test.com, and I can also add the user ID, just like we did on our user ID. Obviously, the ID would be of type MongoDB. So we would be getting that there. But since this is not like something standard, we would have to create our own interface for this, which we could, but it's just unnecessary to go ahead and create that. So you could just even put any, which is not ideal. I would say that adding this is better because you know that the token user info is of type payload, but it can have additional stuff. So I think that's the best way to go about it. And now you understand why, because this is not conventional. Normally this is a convention, and that's more or less what the J2T payload interface or object looks like. All right, so with that said, let's keep on going, and we now can get the user like so. So very logical. If we don't find a user in our database, it means that we cannot log in because we cannot compare against a user that doesn't exist and without a password. So we return a 400 HTTP code with the message user not found. Now, if we get past through that if statement card, then we can go ahead and destructure our user, right? So we're gonna put the user here, and we want to separate the email, the role, the username, and then everything else will be our user DTO. Why is this giving me? Did I destructure this? No. Why? User from models.user. Email does not exist. It should exist. Email. Maybe I'm having a typo and I'm not seeing this. Find one. If you put find, I guess you potentially can get an array. That's why it was giving me an error. If you put find one, it will specifically return only one object. So that's why we were getting that error. Now we can do return res.json, and we can, well, with the status code, very important. No, what am I doing? Status 200, then JSON, and I can return the username, email, and role. And we don't want to, I guess user DTO is not the correct term, because the DTO would be actually what we would be returning. I'm more comfortable, like everything else is extra user data. Extra user data. There you go. And if something goes wrong, res.status 500.json error couldn't get current user, which is very vague, and that's what we want to do. So now we have the authentication methods in this controller. We have the schema. Then the next step is declaring the routes. So we're gonna call this auth routes, and obviously declaring this in the index, actually app.ts. Yep, we'll declare them here, and then we can move on to the front end. So whatever we have left is actually really quick. So auth routes. So import router from express const router equals new router, export default router. Am I doing something wrong? Router from express. Oh, this is not a class. That's just a capitalized function. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and say router.post. So, by the way, on the app.ts, we're gonna declare this as, you know, /API / I don't know if I had B1. I don't think I had B1. Yeah, I did. So /auth, and then we're gonna have the login, the sign up, and the get current user. So we're gonna go ahead, and here we're just going to write the / methods. So /login, where I'm going to pass the login user method from the controller. So just check how this was automatically imported. And I don't know why I put a const. There's no need to put const there. Router.post sign up with the sign up method. And the last one is a get request, which is the get current user. And is the get current user method. So that's gonna go there, and now we can declare the route and use that route here. So import auth route from routes, auth routes, and app.use / API auth, and this is the auth route, right? Because that's what we declared here. All right, cool. So we have that. Now let's make sure that this works. So by the way, this is for another program. So I should have this YouTube soccer. That's another YouTube soccer app. Well, if not, I'll create one. I think it's this one, but either way. So let's sign up. So what do we require for sign up? I believe we require more. So I'm gonna go to my schema just to check. So username, email, password. Role, we don't need it, so it automatically assigns it, and this is created within the method, so we don't need to specify this. So only user, email, and password. Okay. Username. So username, email, and password. So username, Artur Fil, email, Artur, password, I'm just going to capitalize this. And I gotta make sure that this is running. Couldn't find declaration for module, bcrypt, try npm save types. Oh, I probably mistyped it. Yeah. So I probably, that's why you see a node modules, package JSON, login, package JSON. So just so you guys know what did I do, I ran like an npmi in the outermost level. So I'm gonna get rid of the node modules here, right? Just be aware that we actually do have node modules within our backend. See, and we also have node modules within our front end, so don't touch those, only the ones that I created by mistake. I'm gonna delete this. If you didn't do this, that's good. If you did, then you have to do this with me. All right, so I deleted those. Cool. And I probably need to import the bcrypt, or maybe I don't. Maybe it was already installed for me by bcrypt types. I don't have the types, but also I don't see any errors yet. Import bcrypt. Modules, bcrypt. Okay, try. Okay, so it's literally telling me what to do to fix this error. So I'm gonna go into my backend and install that. So now, actually I should have done rs. All right, perfect. So we don't have any errors from our front end. Back end. The front end I haven't touched. I'm gonna close this. All right, cool. So now we can go ahead and try the sign up and the login. Did I port 8080? That looks good. Localhost. Oh, there you go. 8080. Couldn't create a user. Probably already have a user. So then let's go ahead and try login. 8080. Check credentials, probably with capital P. There you go. So now we get the token. So let's actually make sure that we can sign up somebody. So So I'm gonna put Santiago, so that's a different user. Santiago1, password 123. Successful sign up, perfect. And then if you try this, then you know that it works. Santiago@test.com. All right, perfect, it works. So now we can grab this and test the get current user. So I'm gonna go ahead here and put 8080 in the headers where it says, well, there's no authorization header, so I'm going to create this authorization. I'm gonna pass a token and API auth. How did I write it as? Get current user. Yeah, first of all, I have an error here. Second of all, I may want to just put current user because the get is from the method. So I think I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, it restarted. Let's try this again. And there you go. We have Santiago with the email and the role. Perfect. So now we have all those three methods. I know it took a while to get there, but we finally got to finish all the backend. So the backend is all working. So now we're gonna close everything and forget about the backend for a moment, and we're gonna go into the front end and make all the changes to make it look as we had it in the beginning me demo in the app. So first things first, I want to change the card. So components. So I'm gonna do the following. I'm gonna create a new folder here, and I'm gonna call these. So by the way, I'm doing Command-Shift-P to do this. It's probably Control-Shift-P in Windows. So Command-Shift-P, and I'm gonna say it's important that you put it exactly at the folder that you want to create, whatever you want to create, either a file or a folder. So see how I'm in the components folder, highlighted. And now I'm just going to create a new folder. I'm gonna call this layout. Command-Shift-P, where the components folder is highlighted, and I'm gonna create another folder, and I'm gonna call this general. So I'm gonna drag and drop into the layout folder my navbar.tsx, and probably in the app.tsx we may have an error. We'll see, unless it auto updated. Navbar. Okay, it did auto update. Perfect. So if I refresh, everything's still working as it should. Okay, so that's one thing. I remember I wanted to make some changes, but let's go ahead and create the game card. So see how in general, I'm highlighting general. I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call this gamecard.tsx, and I'm going to go ahead and create another file called gamecard.css. I like having them together because it's just cleaner and easier to see where things are. It's more organized, so I'm gonna leave it that way. So for my game card, I'm gonna do the following. This is going to be a very simple component where it's going to have a div, an h2, and some paragraphs. Probably 3 paragraphs. Now, what is this component going to have? So I'm going to create my interface. So interface props, and it's going to contain just an object called game of type game, where remember this is coming from the interfaces from our front end. So remember this is coming from here. So that way we know what are we expecting for this component to have and render. So I'm gonna pass the props as an interface, and then we can easily do we can do game.name we can do game.address, we can do game.number of people, and game.date. Actually, I want to do game.time. And if there's a game time assigned, so game.time, otherwise no time assigned yet. Because whenever you create a game, you don't necessarily have to declare a game. And also I want to show the game.date, and I'll do something about this. Where's my game interface? Date. Why is this giving me an error? Date is not assigned to, okay, so to string, there you go. And I'll do some manipulation later, but that should be good enough. Now you may ask yourselves, why am I doing this? Why not put just name, address, number of people, blah, 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 blah. That way we can get rid of the game.name, game.address, game.number of people. And this is the reason why. So if we go into the index, on the front end, on home page or games page. So in order to render, so here what it says grid, that's what we're going to be replacing with our game card. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do that now. But see how can I easily just do game rather than put in all the different attributes. So for me, this is cleaner, and that is why I did what I did. Now, obviously this doesn't look good. We're going to be changing the CSS right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and import game.css. So I'm gonna go to my game.css, game card, very important, game card. Otherwise it won't apply the styles. So this actually doesn't have, surprisingly, too many styles, sorry. So okay, I believe this should be fine. Okay, so for the game card, the color will be white, and you'll see why. Border radius 10 pixels, just to give a nice border to that card. Margin 2 pixels, just so there's some sort of space between the cards. Margin. Padding 20 pixels so that the text inside doesn't look crazy. Border 1 pixel, solid, light gray. Light gray, because light gray is an easy color to work with. So the min height will be 150 pixels. I feel they shouldn't be changing height, so I'm just gonna leave them with height. And min width should be 50 pixels. Again, I'm not sure if I should just leave them as static, like static height and static width, but maybe if you have a smaller screen, it'll, pay off to have that that responsiveness. I want to put some sort of transition, and this will actually help whenever we have the hover effect, which is the one that I'm going to declare right here. So I'm going to be using a box shadow of 2 pixels for the how much height the shadow has vertically and going downwards, and like the strength of the shadow. And you can see how the box shadow works specifically in Mozilla. Mozilla does a great job, probably does a better job than I do. So I encourage you guys to go check that out in case you have some doubts. Ease out. Okay, so we want to have these transitions, that way whenever we hover, it doesn't look like really quick, and it has that smooth effect. So that probably has to be a self-closing component. Okay. Let's close that. That's the other one. Okay. So this is still not applied. Okay, so let's see what's missing. Game card. Game card is here. CSS. Did I miss import it? Ah. Duh. Very important. Game card. Okay. There you go. It's not exactly the same as the one that I have on the demo. Also has like this blue thing. I think it's because it's like kind of like the, yeah, that's the link that, you know, it's blue, and when you click it is purple. So I'll get rid of that too. But first thing that I want to do is get rid of that, the way that that looks. Well, also I want to put here like a title or something, so I'm going to container grid container. Oh, I also want to put some spacing. Let's see if that helps. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Looks like the demo. Obviously we're missing this, but we'll get there. I want to add some typography, variant, H2, font weight, bold, and we have to import that from Material UI. I'm just gonna put here games. And let's add some styling, so style, margin top, and let's put 5. Okay, that looks decent enough. Now I'm gonna go to my app.css to get rid of the color. Okay, it's looking better. Now the last thing that I want to do is get rid of this 00Z because that looks weird, and I'm going to do something a little bit obscure, but trust me, it works, and it makes the date look nicer. And I'll explain what I'll do, because it can be a little bit confusing. So I'm gonna go to my game card, and I want to do the following. So we already have the date in a format type of string. The second thing that we want to do is we want to split this into an array. Why do I want to split this into an array? Because I want to reverse it. Actually, I don't want to reverse it yet. First, I want to split it by this t. So I'm gonna get rid of everything that goes after this time, because we only care about the date. We already have the time here. So I'm gonna get rid of everything after the t, which is why this will return an array, right? It'll return an array before the t, I mean an element before the t, and an element after the t, right? So it'll be confirmed by an array, and I'll show you guys how this looks. Okay, I guess let me put JSON.stringify. JSON.stringify. See? So now you can see the array, and you don't see the t anymore because we're splitting that string by the t, and converting it into an array. So now that I have an array, I want to get the first part of the array. So now I don't have the time thing, that looks weird. Now that we have this, I want to split this element by the dash. That way we can have first element, second element, third element. So you'll see how. So I'm going to split this like so. So again, now we have an array like that. Then I know it's, it's a little bit involved, but it pays off. Then the last thing that I want to do is reverse. So meanwhile, we have it as an array format. We'll reverse it. So now I have day, month, and year, which is mostly common by all the countries except for the US. US uses month and day, but whatever. And then lastly, we're going to be joining this. And we're going to be using a backslash. So there you go. We have it as a date format with the date first, then the month, then the year. And now we can get rid of the JSON.stringify. I was just using that so you guys could visualize my changes and understand what exactly I was doing. And now it looks like a pretty decent formatted date. So we have that. Now the next thing that we want to do before I continue with the login and whatnot, which we don't even have the route, but whatever. This card looks good enough to me. This doesn't look that bad, but it doesn't look great either. So we'll try to add some CSS to that too. So this is my single game page. So this is single game page, okay. Which, by the way, we can do the same here for this date. I can go ahead and do that to string. I'll do it quick. So it's dot split by the t. Then we're going to do dot. Well, first we want to get the 0th value. Then we split it again by the dashes. Then we reverse it. And then we make it join by appending the backslash. And there you go. Not bad. Okay, cool. So this is how we had it before. I'm just going to add the buttons. Then I'm going to, well, this should route to the home page. We don't really need games because here are all the games. So this is unnecessary. This will change. And this will also change. If you want, we can work on this in a bit. But either way, let's definitely add different buttons or different styling to the buttons. So I'm gonna go to my general CSS, app.css. Let me get my notes. So I don't have this by memory. Custom button. Okay, so that's the class. So dot custom button, and I'm putting it here because I want these classes for all my buttons. So I'm gonna do background image, linear gradient, 90 degrees. This I will copy paste because I don't remember the colors by heart. Okay. Alright, so there you go. Those are the colors. Now the color of the text will be of type, or the color will be white. And we want to put important. Otherwise, I think the CSS won't pick it up. And the font weight, also we want to make it bold the majority of the times. Whenever there's a button that you don't like how it looks with the bold, then you can make the text transform or the font weight, to whatever font weight you want. So we're gonna go here, and in the button we should have the class name equal to custom button. And I can get rid of the variant. And okay, there you go. Now I want to get rid of these capitalized text. So actually I can add this to all my buttons. So text transform, capitalize. Okay, so I have to put important. There you go. And I also want to put a border radius of 10 pixels. And I also want to make this important. I kind of also want to put, you know, whenever I create a button, well, actually, never mind. Well, yeah, if I want to have buttons with different colors, I guess I'll separate this custom button. I'm gonna put green button. So here it will be my green button, because for deleting, I don't want to have, like, you know, the same color. And I believe I had a height. No, I don't. Okay. All right, cool. So that's that. Let's go ahead and create our login page. Okay, so I don't have a login page. Oh, well, let me see if this is quick. We'll go through this. If this is not quick, then we'll leave it there. But single page. Okay, so single game page. Let's see what I have for added. So container, margins of 3, typography, variant, I have here H2. So I'll get rid of the font weight, so we don't have everything in bold, just so we have some sort of variance. Also, I'm gonna have margin up and down for the title of 3 units. Then, actually, you know what? I'm gonna leave this as it is. Yeah, I'm a little bit sick, as you can tell. And this one will be my H2 variant text or title. So I'm just gonna put like welcome to this game, or, you know, a welcoming phrase. Welcome. Welcome. Yeah, welcome to this game. I don't know. You can be creative with that. Now this is the title that I want to give a top and bottom margin of 3. So welcome to this game. Okay, cool. I also want to add some color light gray. Actually, not too light. Gray, maybe with, there you go. Same game name. Why do I have this name address? I'm not a big fan of how I have it currently, but I don't know if I should go ahead and change everything, because this will take time. We'll do this at the end, but I think this looks, even with just the simple changes, I think this looks a little bit better. So I'm just gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna leave it like that too. And then I may just copy paste some things because they're just CSS. So I'm pretty sure you guys don't want to see me doing CSS. So I'm just gonna go and start doing the login. All right. So, and I'll do this from scratch, so you can use those, you know, whatever inputs, and the way I do it with the login, you can change it yourself too later. So With that said, let's go ahead and create the login view or the login page. So this will be a feature within the account, which, by the way, we don't have the slice and we don't have that slice within the store. So we're going to have to do that too. But let's go ahead and create first the view. Then we'll go ahead with the slice, put it on the store and do all that stuff. So this would be the login page.tsx. And let's go ahead and put that there. Okay, so we have our login page component there. Let's go ahead and first create the structure of how it is going to be looking. So first I'm going to create a div where this form is going to be displayed at. So this is going to be a CSS class that I'll create in a bit called login body, and you'll see what I'm going to do. But essentially we're going to put a different background so it looks just as you guys saw on the demo. I want to go ahead and add these inline classes if I can get those out of the way. So that padding top and bottom of 10, margin 0 auto, just to center the container where the form is going to be at. This is going to be of type container, and it's going to have a spacing of 3 between the input fields and whatnot. And actually I think container. Yeah, actually this goes somewhere else. So display, obviously we want to make it flex, and we want to justify content towards the center. And let's bring the import from material UI. Now let's go ahead and create the grid. That way we have that grid layout from material UI. And this class name will be login container with this type of container and spacing 3. And we will also add some custom styling, inline styling, which saves us writing CSS with the important. And I'm gonna put the background color, so background color equals to white. Let's put that there. Let's import it from material UI. I'm gonna add some typography. This will be a variant h3. This is going to have a class name of title. This probably will go in the login page.css, the title class. And I'm going to add some styling where I'm gonna add margin all around, or actually 80 at the top, auto on the right, 0 at the bottom, and auto at the left. So it's a way of centering it, but adding also some margin at the top. And then the font weight of 600. And this will be login typography. All right, so now that we have that title, we can go ahead and start adding the input fields. So each input field will have its own grid container. So I'm gonna go ahead and create the grid container of type item. Each container will have a full row within the grid. And by the way, this is extra small in the type grid terms. I'm gonna go ahead and create an input field, but be very observant of where I'm importing this. This is not from material UI. This is actually from material UI-joy. That's the name of the library. And we probably need to install this, which is this library. So import input from MUI joy/input, which we don't have that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do, well, first of all, go into the front end and then do npmi at MUI-joy-input. -joy without the input. So I'm gonna wait for that to install. All right, so one critical npm audit fix. All right, I can deal with those things later, but it's not from this. I believe the vulnerabilities come from like all the libraries all around. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue writing the input field. So for the login, we only need two input fields. We need the email and password. So this placeholder will be the email. This will be of type email, and for now that's all we need. Actually, class name equals login input. Okay, and then I am going to go ahead and duplicate the same thing, but for the password. Type password. I'm going to leave that like so. And one more thing that we need is a button. So the button will also be part of this grid layout. So the button itself also needs a grid of type item, of size extra small within the grid. And I think we should be fine with that. So button, this is going to be full width. This goes inside this is an attribute or a prop. And the class name will be custom btn. And I'll just put that login. And then, you know, we're not going to do sign up in this case. We can do if we have time, but for now, actually, okay, I'll go ahead and add this preliminarily. But you know, I want to get some stuff done regarding route guards and whatnot. So you know, essentially a sign up method is the same as like a form where you create. It's just that rather than creating a game, you're creating a user. So that's the only difference. So if we don't have time, I can, you know, upload another video, but I think it's really important for you guys to see how to handle the guard protections. So already have an account. And this from React Router DOM. Okay, so we should have almost everything in place. I'm also gonna go ahead and create the login page.css. Import that here. So import login page.css. And we just are going to add those three classes, the login body, the login container, and the login input, I think. Yeah. All right. So for the login body, we're going to have a background image. Same thing. We're going to do a linear gradient of 90 degrees. Again, I don't know the colors by memory, so I'm just gonna go ahead and copy paste those RGB color codes. Height, we want this to be 100% view height, and width, we want this to be 100% of view width, and this is just going to be the background, and you'll see what am I doing right here. The login container will have a border radius of 10 pixels. The minimum width will be a 500 pixels. Here I am putting minimum width and maximum width because whenever we have something responsive, we want to make sure that at least is a certain amount of, width. And obviously we don't want to like go over also a certain amount of width. And lastly, for the login input, we're going to have I actually wanted to add more stuff here. That's fine. Border, color. Actually, I want to have this background color. Background color, light gray. Light gray, and this important. Let's see how that looks. Okay, it's probably browser. And that's coming from the front end. All right, so no errors so far. So in my navbar, I also want to create the login route. So right now we're actually doing mapping, but I think I'm gonna get rid of this. And I know I went through lengths on doing all these things, but for practicality, we're gonna have to get rid of it. Login, and then I also need to add the route here. Okay, I'll create it from scratch. Route, path, login, element, login page. All right. Game slice. We don't have triple equals. We have, and this in line 91. Okay. Just wanna, my OCD. 91. There you go. Okay. Cool. Let's close that. Let's close this. The nav bar should be fine for now. Let's close this. Close. And let's only have this open. So this is how it looks. Oof. That's why I have border radius. This should be quick. Border color, also light gray. Jesus Christ, okay. Hey, that looks better. Okay, cool. Now, the button has no color and there's no padding to the right. I actually want to add that padding. You're happy with? Probably I'm missing some padding here. And this should be within the container spacing margin 0 auto. Aha. I'm also missing this padding right to be 10 and then padding left to be 7. I don't remember why I was doing. Should be same for both, I believe. Huh. I don't know if you guys see, maybe I'm going crazy, but maybe there's more padding here compared to here. 'Cause I think so. I think that is about the same. And probably here I'm pushing by extra 3. That's why I can get away spacing 3. Yeah, probably because of this. This probably why. Okay, so that's one thing out of the way. The button, class name, custom btn, full width. There should be green. Oh, green. There you go. Okay, cool. So now it looks like the way I had it. And this is my sign up page, but I don't have anything yet. All right, cool. So now the next thing that we need to do is creating the slice, adding it to the store. Then we can create the state. Actually, let's go ahead and also install npm my react toastify. I already know this by memory. All right, let's also go ahead and add this in the app.tsx. So toast container, let's add it here. And here it's fine because we want always to be able to display that toast on the top right. And I'm missing the CSS that I don't know by memory. So I'm just gonna copy paste that import of the CSS because it's not really that important that you guys write this on, you know, it's fine if you copy paste. And if you go into npm, you know, the website and check for React Toastify, you'll see that you can copy paste it, so that's fine. Okay, so we have that implemented. Let's go ahead and now create the account.slice to have all that functionality from the backend available for our React application. So I'm gonna do the following. I'm gonna go ahead and create my interface for the account state. Interface account state. We're gonna have a loading state boolean. We're gonna have a user that can be of type user of null because, you know, in the beginning the user could not be logged in, therefore there's no user in the state yet. Interface. Why is this giving me interface? Do I have a typo? I think I needed an export in order for. Oh, because I have it as TSX and not TS. That's why. There you go. Probably I can get rid of that. User. Yeah, I don't have an interface in my front end either. So where are my interfaces folder? Here. Okay, so let's create a new file within the interfaces folder, which is going to be user.tsx. So export interface user. And just so you guys know where you can get this information later, you know, this is in your schema. And this is going to be almost exactly the same, but with 2 variances. And I don't want to write, I don't want to copy, sorry. So I actually am going to rewrite this. So username of type string. Where's this? Give me an error. Oh, the 2 dots. The email of type string. Password. We're not going to be getting the password, but yeah. Actually, we shouldn't even get the password. So I'm going to omit the password. And hence you see how there's already a variance there. We will always get the role. We don't really want the created at all the time. So that will be an optional attribute, and same with updated at. It will be an optional. So now we have our interface, and I can import it here now. So that will be how our state within the account slice will look like. And I'm missing to add errors. Errors, error, any. And one more is logged in, and this of type boolean. Okay, cool. So now we can go ahead and create our initial state, which will have a type of account state, which we just declare right here. So loading in the beginning, in the beginning it will be false, and this is a comma. User in the beginning is null. The is logged in attribute will be false in the beginning. And by the way, this has to be an equal sign. And I'm only missing the errors, which will be empty initially. So now we can go ahead and create our first method. I don't think I have a sign up on the demo either, but I'll add the sign up method. That way, let's say if I run out of time here, at least you guys have the template to implement it yourself. So const sign up or sign up user equals create async thunk. So in order to have that asynchronous ability with Redux, that's what thunk is for. So we're going to expect a user, but this is upon us sending an object to the backend. So this is from the account slice, and the method is sign up user. We will pass data as parameters, and we'll have an async thunk API parameter there. That way we can use it later on. Const response await axios.post http -- localhost. Let's close this. 8080 /API auth /signup. And here we pass the data. Okay, so now we have that catch. In this case, I actually do tend to put any in the errors because I think I've explained this before. The error can be in any sort of format. That's why for this, I do recommend to put it as type any. By the way, this return response.data. Yeah, I missed that. Otherwise, return thunk API dot reject with value error.data. And you'll see right now how we can also use the thunk API within our try. If we have a successful, you'll see with the login. If we have a successful login, we can actually use the thunk API to dispatch an action and reduce the state or change the state, upon the successful login. So you'll see right now. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and create that login method. So export const login user equals create async thunk, where we are going to get a user back, and we are going to be giving. Sorry, by the way, this is we're going to give as data user, and we're going to get back an object. I'm not 100% sure if this is the proper setup. I may want to change this, but I know for a fact that we're going to be passing data of type user, but we're going to get in exchange a string of type JWT. So string is fine. I'll leave it like that. So the action name is account login user. This will be asynchronous, where we're going to be passing data, and we will declare the thunk API in order to dispatch actions within our method. So I'm going to create the try catch clause. Same thing, response equals await axios.post http localhost 8080/API/auth/login, and we're gonna pass the data there. And once we have that, then we can actually we don't really need to return the response.data, but what we want to do is store the token in the local storage in the browser. So we're gonna do that. In order to do the storing, we need to first get the token, and the token is going to be within the response.data. I may have to put object. User token. What am I? Response token. No value exists for shorthand property token. Either declare it one or provide an initializer. Response data. Thunk API. That's fine. I want to check role password. That is interesting, because I don't get an error where I have my notes. But actually, let me see if I can, if I return token, if the error goes away. No, it doesn't go away. Okay. I'll write the whole method, and if it continues giving me an error, then I'll see why is this giving me an error. Okay. So I'm going to ignore the lint for now, and let's say that we can successfully declare the token constant. So what I'm going to do is, if I have a successful login in the local storage, I'm going to set the item with the key as j.t. I'm going to put YouTube soccer, and the value pair will be the token itself. Once I have done that, then I can put my toast batch at the top right, like you saw. Like you saw in the demo, successfully logged in. But also I want to change the state, so I'm going to do thunk API.dispatch set logged in equal to true, which, by the way, this we don't have created yet. This will be our reducer, so you'll see how this can work. You'll see how this will work, and then upon that, then I will return the token. And I don't know why it keeps suggesting that. Okay. No value exists in the scope for the shorthand property token. Either declare one or provide an initializer. Token return. Why am I putting return? That's why. You guys might have caught this earlier, but yeah, I don't know why I typed return. It's constant. I'm creating a constant. Things like that, make you go about and see what happened, and it's just so evident. But there you go. That's why. So let's go ahead and create the reducers and export the slice and put it in the Redux store. And this should be fairly quick. So export const account slice equals create slice, which, by the way, this should be imported from the React Redux toolkit library. There you go. The name of this slice will be account. It will be having the initial state that we declare here. because that's the state that it will be handling, and the reducers, which in this case we will use, is the set logged in. Now this reducer will take state and will take some data as parameters, and obviously given that state we're going to change the state, in specifically the state dot is logged in, which is this right here, because initially it's false, so whenever we logged in correctly we will change this to true, and this will be the action.payload. Now you still see the squiggly red line here, and that is because we're not exporting. Even though this is a reducer, I guess it can also be referred as an action. So export const set logged in equals to account slice dot actions. Okay, and we also want to export the slice itself. So export default, well, the reducer actually, account slice reducer. Which essentially is all of this, because this reduces state. Okay, so we have that. Let's also go ahead and create the extra reducers. And for the extra reducers, we have the successful login, which is the one that I care for. Builder. So I'm gonna go ahead and do builder.addCase. So whenever the login user is successful or fulfilled, then I'm going to make change of some state, which in the case of the login, state.user, it equals to action.payload, and state.loading equals to false in case that I trigger a load. Sign in user. Yeah, I guess we really don't change that much state. I could add a case for, actually I could even get rid of this. I may use extra reducer for the sign up, but we already are changing state with the use of this reducer. So now you get to see how this can be useful. And error, we can do return, reject, or thunk API.reject with value, and then we have the error. All right, so that should be good enough. Now let's go into the store and let's add our newly created reducer. So import account reducer from features account slice, and then we can add it here. So account reducer. All right, so that should be the last thing that we need to do in order to connect our slice. And now the next thing that we have to do is declare the state and put it on the login page. So let's go ahead and do that. So in the login page, we are missing the local state. So let's go ahead and declare that. This will be user, set user equal to use state. And here I'm going to put everything that we need in order to log in the user, which will be the email and the password. So very simple, we only need those two things. And we want to keep track of that state. So we're going to have a value, which will be, in the case of the email, user.email. We also want to keep track of the change of state, which I'm going to do it this way. Set user. So everything that is not the email, I'm going to leave it as it is. But then the email, I'm going to set it equal to the event.target.value. And I'm gonna do exactly the same for the password. Did I mix this? Yeah, this should go on the email, and I put it on the password input. So that goes there. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do the same with the user.password. And on change, I'm gonna pass the event into my callback. So set user, and I don't know why I forgot this. This has to be in curly braces. There you go. And let's type this properly. Set user. So everything that is not the password, I'm going to leave it as it is, and then the password attribute, I'm gonna set it equal to the event.target.value. And I like doing it this way. You could create your unchanged function, but it doesn't take that much to keep track of state. I think this is very neat. So that's why I like to do it this way. Last thing that we need is a function for the handle submission event. Function handle submit. So we will have a mouse event. So whenever I click the button with my mouse, we will trigger that. Mouse event. I could probably also put like keyword event, I guess. And this actually HTML button element, and I can do the same. HTML button element. There you go. Yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of the keyword. That's a very rare case, to be honest. So as it is fine. So we want to do event prevent.default. So whenever we submit, we don't want the form to clear. We also want to dispatch the data into the backend. So for that, we are going to declare this, the dispatch functionality from the hook. So const dispatch equals to use app dispatch. And we should be good with that. So dispatch and then login user. So just make sure that you import it like so. And we're gonna pass the data, which will be the user. Sorry, there you go. Now, once we have this, then we can go ahead and put that on-click functionality to the button. Where we actually don't even, okay, yeah, I can do the, and then we'll do handle submit. There you go. Which, by the way, if you have the event here and you're also passing the event within, you can also omit this. And you may ask yourself, why are we not doing the same thing here? Because I'm not only passing the event into the function, but I'm also, spreading the state or creating new state upon this and then modifying it, which is why we need to do it that way. But here we can get away with writing it this way. So now I have state where it's checking what I'm inputting. Let's go ahead and make sure that we can sign in or log in. So arturotest.com, password 123, and successfully log in. Nice. Okay, so there's a key. I can put it as a control. Okay, let's go ahead and do the key quickly. The key is really simple. Okay, the nav information. I just want to see in which line. Bundle, nav bar. Let me see in the nav bar. Log in. How about map? So we have key, and I'm guessing it's here. Key page.route. Each job in a list should have a unique key prop. Map page. I'm not sure if this is complaining. There you go. Okay. So also it's very important to make sure that we have the j.t there. So I have j.t soccer YouTube, so that is working. I actually want to make sure I can delete. All right. So right now I'm not signed in. So let's try this again. And boom, there you go. So there we have our token in the local storage. But, well, logged in is true right now, but I'm going to refresh. So if I refresh and open this again, I know there was a way of zooming this. Oh well. Logged in, it says false. So what can we do with that? What we can do is make use of our getCurrentUser method, and if we get a current user, then we turn this into true. So we're getting there with the guard routes and whatnot. So we're almost there. But it's very important that we do that right now, the getCurrentUser. So log out, getCurrentUser. Let's go ahead and do that on the account slice. So account slice, I'm gonna go ahead and create those two other methods, which are the getCurrentUser and the logout, because I haven't added a logout method, which is also very important. But firstly, let's do the getCurrentUser one. So getCurrentUser equals to create async thunk, which we're not going to be sending anything. The token will be appended in the headers, so we really don't need to send anything via the request.body. So this action would be the getCurrentUser method, or just getCurrentUser. This will be async, and we'll be using the thunk API parameter. We'll create our try catch, and the token, we will get it from the browser, doing the following: json.parse, because we want to convert from JSON to a JavaScript object. So local storage get item, and whatever we call this here, we want to put that there. And in this case, we know for a fact that we have a token. If we don't have a token, then it'll fall into the catch and it'll show the error. I guess yeah, let's do error management. So if there's no token, then we can do thunk API dispatch set login to false, and probably we should say like, no token found, and just return. But if we do have the token, then we can go ahead and do the API call. So response equals await axios get HTTP localhost 8080 API auth current user. Now here, rather than sending data, we're going to set up the headers, and specifically the authorization, just how you saw on Postman. And we're going to pass the token as the value within the key value pair for the authorization. And I feel I'm missing something. Authorization token. This does not have a comma. And what else? What else I'm missing? Authorization headers. Argument type is not sent to parameter access request config. Probably I have a typo. I'll continue, and if I don't, I'll probably catch it, and if I don't, I'll just resolve it right now. So what's important is that if we get a response.data, meaning if we do get a user, because otherwise we would get an error, and if we get an error, it wouldn't fall under this category. So if we get a user, then we can do a dispatch of the set logged in reducer and set the login equal to true. Otherwise, we can send an error or show an error. But at least do Thunk API dispatch set login equal to false, in the case that we have some error. And return here. Okay, and lastly, we'll just do a console log error because we already have this. Actually, I can do return Thunk API dot reject with value error. There you go. Okay, so this error is still not gone. Okay, so I definitely have a typo here. So is this closed? Yeah, that is closing. Headers. There you go. That's it. And yeah, I think that should be it. Okay. The logout, very easy. Whenever you click logout, or whenever you click on the button logout, you simply get rid of the token from the local storage. So let's go ahead and create that method too. Again, void, because we really don't need to do much. And I don't want to put it here because I feel that we're manipulating a lot of stuff. So I rather create an action here rather than putting it as a reducer here. So account log out user async Thunk API, then try catch. So now I'm going to local storage dot remove item, and I'm going to pass the key, whatever I called it here, YouTube soccer. Okay, good. So Thunk API dot dispatch. Once we log out, obviously we want to change the state. So set logged in equal to false. Toast info successfully logged out. And if we have any errors, we do the same. Return reject with value, or Thunk API dot reject with value error. All right, so now we have those two things implemented. Let's get rid of this. So when do we want to do this? Probably in the app.tsx. Every time we start up the app, we want to make sure whether a user is logged in. Get current user. So, and I haven't refreshed anything. JSON parser expected. Count slice line 65. Account slice line 65. Well, it's actually pointing to the JSON parse, but I don't see any error, so I'm just going to refresh. Before I refresh though, I want you guys to see this. So the account says is logged in false. I really wish. Okay, that's not doing anything. Huh. I really wish there was a way to like zoom in this, but whatever. Anyway, it says is logged in equal to false. Hopefully you guys can see that properly. I'm sure you can see, you know, decently enough, but for now we'll have to do with this. Now I'm going to refresh, and this should be changed to true. So if we go to account is logged in false. Okay, so that did not work. And we didn't even get the game. Well, actually, let me go here. Maybe it did, and I'm account. Where's the game state? Did I miss something? TSX. Upon initiation, I want to initiate that. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Get current user. Let's see if I have any errors. Okay, so definitely. All right, so JSON unexpected character at line 1, column 1 of the JSON data. Okay. I guess line 68. Get current user. So this is within the get current user. Get current user. Get item. No cool host, API, current user, headers, authorization token. Okay, that looks good so far. Get current user, get current user. API. I'm looking at my notes to see if I missed something, but I believe I have everything right. Token response to data, the API, return. What is wrong? JSON parse, local storage dot get item. Current user, not token. Const response, wait, Axios get. Maybe health routes. Sign up. Current user, that looks fine. User auth controller. No. Auth route. / current user. HTTP localhost API auth. Okay, my backend is not even getting anything. get game. Okay, so it's getting the games. But it's not even sending. It's not even making that dispatch. Sign up user, login user, get current user. I'm gonna check in the store to see if I didn't mess something. Game reducer, account reducer, account reducer. That looks fine. Let's see. Okay, so it's actually been a couple of days since I last recorded, and hence why my beard disappeared suddenly. So anyway, you know, I was already at the 2 hours mark, so probably you guys are still watching this at the 2 hour mark. But I'm gonna try to be as fast as possible. That way, you know, we can get everything out of the, you know, everything done essentially. So I was having this error where error was in the local storage set item and things to do. Let me put the things that we want to finish. So I want to do auth guards because that's very important. We could do the sign up if we have time, and we also want to do dynamic display. Well, this we have to do, and it's very easy. And we also want to do the check user or get user, which is also the same in the front end. Is logged in. Check user if logged in. Check user if logged in. So those are the things that we're going to do. Now the sign up, I may not do it in this video because it's already been too long. But as I've been saying along this tutorial when I edit it, of course, is that the sign up is very easy. It's just like creating a product. It's just that instead of having creating a game, it's just that instead of having the game, date, name, field, and all that, you just have an email, a password, and the username. So those are all the only differences. So you can go ahead and create that form on your own in case that we don't have enough time, because I think that's very easy for you guys to do. Now, the error that I was having is the following. So in the account slice, in the login here, probably it was, I did not have this JSON.stringify, and that is a big problem, and this is why. So I'm going to show you guys why. So let's say that I'm here, I'm not logged in, or, well, actually, I need to check the local storage because right now we don't have anything set up to say otherwise. All right, so there's nothing here, right? So we don't have any JWT token. So doing it as I had it before, and I'm showing you guys so you can understand why. So it says successfully logged in. I go to my local storage and boom, I have my JWT token. Now this is a problem. I don't know if you see this, but this is like an array, and I think it's been split by the dots rather than like being a string itself, and that is a problem. And we were having that because rather than just storing it like so, what we need to do is stringify it. So convert this to a valid JSON string in order to store it in the local storage. So now I'm going to delete this. So we're not logged in again. I'm going to sign in again. And that is not, did I put token in strings. Jesus, should be like that because obviously we want the token value, right? So let me delete this. All right, let's go again. Arturo@test.com. Password 123. And there you go. That is the actual string that we want to get. And I would want the, well, you guys can guess that this is a string rather than like whatever we had an array, which was not the right data. So now that is a correct way of doing it. So that's it. That's the only thing that we need to do. That is solved. Now that we have that, we can go ahead and make use of current user. So again, current user, we're gonna send we're gonna get the token from here. So getting token from local storage, and for that we have to like get the item from this key, and then we have to parse it, so convert it from JSON to normal JavaScript object, and then from there we just send we send the get request to the current user endpoint on our backend, and then if we get a response that data means that we do have we do have the user there. Otherwise, it means that we got an error, and we're gonna get that token, and then we can modify the state. Now, all of this will be applied in the first page, which will be the games, or no, in the app. I think I have it on the app. Yeah. So this init app function is this right here. So I want to, like, first thing that I want to do upon the app initiation is to get the current user to see whether the user is logged in or not, and get the games. So now if I go here, I don't know if you guys remembered that before, if I refreshed, the state wouldn't show that I was logged in. Now, so right now logged in is true, but I'm gonna refresh. And let's check the account state. So it stays true, and that is something that we want to do. Because now we can use dynamic display. And one thing that is very useful when it comes to dynamic display is for the navbar. So I'm gonna go to my navbar, and where do I have is logged in? Let's see. Link to. So I'm gonna have the following links. So let's go to, okay. So I'm gonna get rid of the map actually, because we need to do some dynamic displaying. So I'm gonna delete this right here. Now we don't need the key. The 2 is going to be also and hard-coded. Probably there's a way to write the map, but since I also want to add the dynamic displaying, I'm going to avoid mapping for now. And then let's say for this, I'm just going to put home. So nothing has changed. I have my home here. Add game, that's fine. Logging works. Games, we really don't need it. Maybe this is still mapping other stuff. Map settings, no. Let's see. I'm sure I have, let's see, map. All right, so it's this one probably. So I'm also gonna get rid of this mapping. And again, I'm gonna get rid of the key. Did I have double key? Yeah, I had double key. Wow. All right. I mean, it was not a big of a deal, but still. So for now, I'm just gonna have the home page there. Page title will be home. So now we should only have one link. That's fine. Did I put? Okay, yeah. Let me see, what did I do with the buttons? Menu item, button. All right, so I had multiple links within the box. All right. So this is what I'm going to do. Because the home page, I want everybody to be able to see the games. I'm gonna leave like so. But let's say, for example, the login page, or the login view, right? If you are already logged in, you shouldn't really care about going to this page. So what I'm going to do here is import the state for whether someone is logged in or not. And I'm gonna do this here. So again, the variable that holds the state is the one that is here in the account slice, where it says is logged in. So I'm gonna import that is logged in, and that is coming from our use app selector from our account reducer. So now that we have that, then we can do dynamic display here. So I'm gonna say if is logged in, if the user is logged in, then do something, otherwise, I mean, actually render something, otherwise, if the user is not logged in, then render something else. Why is this giving me an error? 2 expected. Let me put another one above and see if that's like, yeah, I think that was it. So I just had to put like 2 components, one if I'm not logged in and the other one if I am logged in. All right, so if I am logged in, I don't want to show this. I want to show, I don't know, create game. Let me remember the name of the routes. Create game, that's fine. Edit game, we'll leave that within the details. So if we go here, we'll leave that there. We don't really want to put it on the navbar, of course. I mean, we couldn't actually. If I'm logged in, I also want to show a link or a button where I can log out. And I'm gonna put here fragment, so I can put my button to log out. Let's indent this properly. So this will be my logout button. And let me see if I have my logout function. I think I do. Okay, current user, logout user. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna use this function from my reducer. So here I can just do logout user. Probably I need to use a dispatch. So dispatch. Okay, probably I don't have the dispatch variable. So let's go ahead and create our dispatch variable equals use app dispatch. That's from the use app dispatch hook that we created. So now we can go ahead and make use of that logout functionality. Where's my logout? There you go, dispatch logout user. Probably need to import it. There you go. So just so you guys see, logout user was also imported. I have the auto import, but you guys make sure that you're also importing it. All right, so now I have logout, login, home. Now this should be, we shouldn't be able to see both at the same time. Arturo@test.com. Okay, so that's the logout is working, but login should not appear if we're not logged in. So if I'm logged in, oh yeah, this is my fault. If we're logged in, we don't want to show it. If we're logged out, we do want to show that login. Okay, that's perfect. Where's the create game? Or did I? Yeah, I just need to change the create game. I just had the wrong title. So if I click this, it goes to create game. Home, create game, perfect. Edit, all right. So we're done with that. Now, the next thing that we want to do is create our auth guards. So what that is going to do is the following. The auth guard component is going to check whether we're logged in or not. And upon that, if we're not logged in, it's not going to allow us to go to the routes that we deem important for the user to be logged in order to access. So we're going to do that right now. So I'm going to go to my components. I'm going to create a new folder called guards. And we're only going to create one, but auth guard. We only really... Actually, we could create 2. There's the admin guard, so later on we can create an extra guard to check whether users are admins or not. But this is just a check to make sure that the user is logged in or not. So that said, we're gonna import the is logged in because that's what we're going to use in order to guard views. And this is going to come from the use app selector. And we're going to bring the state from our account reducer. Now, we are going to be doing the following. So if the user is logged in, then we're going to go ahead and allow the user to go to wherever he wants to go. But if he's not logged in, then we're going to route the user to the login page. So this is outlet, which comes from React Router DOM. So now we can wrap our routes with that auth guard. So for example, I guess we can allow the users to see the game details. Let's say that you want to add an image and whatnot, and you don't want to display the image on the homepage. So we'll allow the users to see the details. But we don't want a user to be able to edit a game or create a game. So we're going to put that inside of the auth guard. And I don't know why I did it this way. It actually has to be in the following fashion. So it has to be route, element, auth guard. And I believe that should work. So, all right, right now, if I go to create game, there's no problem. If I go to edit, there's no problem. Now I'm gonna log out. Perfect, we don't, that is, am I deleting the local storage properly? I am. Probably this is true, which it shouldn't. Is logged in, yeah. That's not right. Local storage. I don't have anything there. There shouldn't be a reason why this is true. All right, so I saw where the error was. So a couple of things. So I have the extra reducer like so, and this is going to be a problem because even though we don't have or we don't get anything from our backend, we actually do get a message. So for example, here in Postman, I'm gonna get rid of this. So we actually do get something. We get a message, even though this is not the information that we have. And the way I set it up is probably not the right way. But anyway, this is always going to be fulfilled, which is wrong. So we need to get rid of this extra reducer. What we're doing within this is enough. Now the second thing, obviously, this I think you guys didn't comment this out. I was just testing something, but this should be fine. This is fine. So if I refresh, you see how now it probably doesn't just allow me to be logged in all the time. So now I just want to check something, by the way. If I log in normally, so there you go, I'm logged in, and if I refresh, it also like gets my username, so that's fine. And if I log out, it persists the state of me being logged out. So that's perfect. That's all I want. If I go to edit, I don't know if you guys saw, but this is how the auth guard works. If I go to edit, it doesn't allow me. And here, I don't even have the possibility to go to create game because it's not in the navbar. But let's say that someone gets smart and types this, it won't allow me also. So that's another way of, protecting routes. So that essentially covers everything. Here I can be even a little bit more specific and say that if I don't get the data that also has, for example, whenever I'm logged in, I get a username. So I want to make sure that specifically I'm getting a user. So if my response.data.username does not exist, I won't, I will probably fall into this category and return a false. Otherwise, if I do get a username, then it's true. So you can be this specific if you want, and that's fine. So I'm going to log in just to show you guys that this works. And perfect, now I can create a game and it appears here. And I can, see the details and whatnot. Probably I have a key that I need to check, but get through soccer updated. Probably it's a good idea. There you go, it's updated. Probably I want to, add some badges, but again, I think this is going to be already 2 hours and who knows how long. So I wanna cut it up to this point. Now you guys can go ahead, and if you like this type of form, you can just use the CSS and change it and add it to all the forms that you like. I think this looks a little bit more, it has a better design in my opinion. Also, some things to notice that I didn't have the time to go through, but this menu right now, it only has home. But if you want to add more menus, obviously you go to your navbar and you can add them. I think it's this one right here, settings. Probably I only have, no, it's not that one. Where's the other one? I think I only have one. Yeah, here. So you have that. You can add here login, right? And I can call this login, and then you can make it dynamic too, but there you go, there's the login. And you can say same thing, if it's logged in, then you show something, otherwise you show something else, right? So if I'm not logged in, I'm gonna display that, but if I am logged in, I'm going to show the log out button, or yeah, in this case menu item, log out, and on click I'm just gonna do dispatch log out user. I probably have an extra word there. Yeah, there you go. So did I mix them? If I'm logged in, show log out. If I'm logged out, show login. Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah. So anyway, you guys know how to add conditional displaying, and you can add the React Toastify as you please. So I'm gonna close this. Now you can see the logout button and the home, and you can add more buttons. It's just like if the user is logged in, then you can go ahead and create the link to the create game route and all that good stuff, right? So I can add this, create game, and make it mobile responsive. So now, have create game, there you go. And yeah, so I'm gonna stop this here. There's a couple of things to have in mind though, which are validators in the backend. I can do that in the next video tutorial series. I'll try to get that as soon as possible and do like a shorter video on that. So essentially what you want to do with those validators is that in the backend, you don't want to allow a user to send a request if they're not logged in. And so for example, routes, I'm gonna go to my game routes. And here right now, if I go to a Postman, even if I'm not logged in, I would be able to create the game. Not through the front end, but I could do it through the back end. So we could create a middleware here, is authenticated. And then with that middleware, first I would say I would pass the authenticator. I would pass a method here, and then if this returns true, then you can go ahead and, well, not get game by ID, but create a game, for example. I wouldn't allow a user to create a game unless they're authenticated. That is the process behind doing middlewares. But yeah, this is already 2 hours and almost 2 hours and a half, so I'm gonna stop the video here, and I'm going to release a video. Actually, the next video will be really short, so it shouldn't take me long to record it. but I'll show you guys next how to do those validators, and probably the last video will be deploying this on AWS or something of the sort of a Linux server. But if you guys like this video, please give it a like. If you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe, because I'm going to be releasing more videos, probably a Golang one, probably a ROS one. But yeah, definitely be on the lookout for that, and see you guys in the next video.